think a lot of people don't understand the value of being in the right state. I define a hero as someone who has strength for two, but I think an MC is probably someone who has energy for two.
Greetings, faithful subscribers, and welcome back. We got a hot one here for you today here on Vision to Vibe, the podcast, which you know this by now, where we like to take event pros, marketing pros, sales pros, agency pros, people who are shaping the future of how marketing and sales is being done in the modern digital era, and get inside their minds, break down some plays of what's working for them and what we all can take away so we can continue to level up how we engage and connect and build community with our target audiences at scale. And like I said, I'm psyched because I've got my friend Chris DuBois here on the line from Dynamic Agency OS. I've followed Chris for some time. He has led agencies. He's an entrepreneur himself. And one of the things I was most excited to bring him on for you all to talk about is his experience putting on his own highly successful virtual events and spinning it up from scratch, him being a solopreneur, and him applying some of his great background from the military and things like that to his discipline and execution of the event, how he's able to leverage relationships to put that whole event together. I'm just excited to break it down and hopefully be a part of it in the future. So thank you for joining me here, Chris, and coming on to the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Business
owner, sales and marketing professional you are, service designer that you are. I'll talk about how you created a vibe around that, how you could spark your own movement. What you've been describing to us for the last few minutes has been your dream, to how you wanted to offer like a company to help other agencies become solution providers, but you needed a way to sort of like drive that home, put your positioning out on a platter, like really spark a movement around this. And that's why I want to talk about the All-In Agency Summit. Yep. If this is the correct order of operations here, like tell us about how you started to go, all right, if this is what I'm doing and this is who I want to do it for, how do I put on an event to make this into a vibe, come to life?
So yeah, when I left the agency, I realized I had to leave my list there too, because I actually didn't own those contacts. And so
very ethical of you. Appreciate that. Not everybody treats it that way.
So when you go for it, it's like, okay, I have no one on my current list. How do I start getting business? Like, how do I create people to market to? Like, where do I find them? Because I could go one-to-one and I could do that. But I did at the time. Like I was starting in just conversations with people I knew, doing all those like standard plays. Yeah. But that's where I had the idea for the All-In Agency Summit, where it was basically, one, there are adjacent service providers, like people who I'm not technically in competition with, who all serve agencies. What if I were to bring all of them, people who have been more established within the space for like years, bring them together so that in one day, in like a single event, we'd have 10 different people presenting to agencies. Free event, all of the presenters get to share the lead list. So like now everyone's incentivized to like get more people to this event. And let's just kick that one off and then see what happens. And it was great. The first one was awesome.
Not everybody realizes how challenging this can be, or what some of the challenges are. Yeah. And maybe maybe they are imagining challenges that they think, I can't do what Chris is talking about. I can't put on a summit like that. Or can they? So just tell us, what were some of the challenges you encountered, either the first one, the second one, the third, any of them, and were there some ways you overcame it?
Yeah, the first one was just the struggle was figuring it out. Like, what do I need to do?
So you ever done anything like that before?
No,
put together
never ran an event. I never.
So the Army never put on virtual events for thought. No, they didn't do that. Okay.
Nope.
Maybe they should.
Fortunately, like I think the Army did give me a good planning background. Like I ran enough operations that it's funny when we were doing my infantry officer basic course. They tell you all these stories as you're going through the op order process. So we have the operations order. It's 5 paragraphs. You make sure you hit all these bullet points, and there's like a lot of sub bullet points. But if you can hit these, you can accomplish almost anything. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about all these students.
These things in place for your unit before you move out.
Well, for whatever mission. So like, what's the situation? What's the mission? How do we execute this? Right? What's our communications plan? What does our sustainment look like? Those types
Oh
of
yeah,
things.
those are good questions. Like couched in like sort of military perspective,
Right.
but good questions for any operation.
But we get a lot of foreign students who will come to like our course and stuff. They're all allies and everything. But some of them have actually gone back to their country and overthrown the government using the op order because it's
How
that
about
strong
that?
of a plan. And so
Provided that they're bringing liberty to their people, we're all for
maybe,
that.
or
Right?
they're just taking over and ruling with an iron fist. Who knows?
Oh, right. And then you're like, well, no, don't do that. Oh, man.
Yeah, I've met some of them. So
And aren't you, by the way, you're still involved like National Guard or something like that?
yeah, I'm in the Army Reserve still.
Good for you, man. Oh, yeah, Army Reserve. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
not the Guard.
Yeah, come on now.
But yeah, so
that.
in planning everything, like getting the landing page up was right the first thing. It's like, okay, I got a landing page. All right, how do I get?
You've been in
them
an agency
actually-
by that point. You knew about that. You knew about the landing
right.
page and all
and,
that.
and doing the copy, like it was all fast. But then it was like, oh, I should probably also make graphics for all of my presenters. Right, I want to make it easy for the presenters to share, and I keep testing it every time. So like, I had 25 presenters at our last one. It was probably too much because we did really short. Like, I want to just like give one thought and just hammer it 15 minutes. And so the goal was to like expose people to as many different ideas from other people as they could. This way, if they hear an idea that resonates with them, they can go reach out to that coach, advisor, whoever it is, which is actually a good, if you're running an event in this way. After I did the first one, I kind of shifted my philosophy on marketing for things like this, where I realized like if we're going to market, I can get a bunch of people to show up at my stall, right? And I can just try pulling all the attention for people to show up in my market stall where I can do all the selling. Or I can just try getting more people to the market. And in doing that, now more people show up, I'm going to get more at the same time. But now I'm also, all of these other shop owners, these stall owners are going to want to work with me and help bring more people in. And now our entire market has just become more successful. And so that's the approach I'm taking with a lot of my marketing. Like I have a community, the dynamic agency community, which has like 30 something different advisors in the community who just jump in, answer questions when someone has it. And it doesn't have to be the Chris DuBois show. It can be, right. Carl Sakis is in there answering questions. And like, he helped someone who's like just starting their agency. He threw in questions and that guy reached out to me later, and he had like probably 5 different coaches, gave him answers, and no one was trying to sell. They were just trying to help. And yeah, he reached out. He's like, there's nowhere else that I could get access to all of these people and get advice to running my business like this. Like, thank you for putting the community together. And so it was like huge win. But yeah, so I don't know. I've also ran 2 stages for one of these events where it was like, I think we had probably 15 presenters and we did hour sessions.
A couple different tracks. You can do this one or that one.
And it was hard because it was like, sometimes we'd have 2 finance people talking at the same time. It's like, choose which one's your problem. And you can go see that one. You can jump stages. But so I don't have a rhyme or reason. I'm still trying to figure out what is the best way. And I think I might, for the next one, actually theme the day. So like today's marketing. We're just talking marketing. But I mean, that's up in the air.
Has it always been multi-day, the virtual?
Just a one-day, single-day event. I've thought about doing a VIP day for the second day where you can purchase a ticket. And now I'll have some of the presenters will actually run workshops. So if you liked what you heard, you can purchase on day 1, you can purchase a ticket for day 2, show up and actually have that person helping you work through whatever that topic is that they were doing.
Sweet.
But I have yet to.
Yeah, we did that
operationalize it.
during my days at HubSpot Academy around the inbound event. Is like, well, here's the main event, inbound, that's the main draw. But if you wanted to, we did it the opposite. It's like, if you want to get primed ahead of time, we'll sell you an additional ticket, $600, $800 a pop, and you can come in and we'll workshop with you like your target marketing or your conversion paths, or you can get a couple of these baseline certifications that Academy offered ahead of time. So you kind of go into inbound with a bit more of a plan to put all the other knowledge and networking and stuff around. But I like that, man, how you're trying to build that off. So to recap, your goal around the event has been, and sounds like it continues to be, to grow your exposure to additional accounts and targets in your ICP who don't know you, and to build relationships and a market, like a community, with other adjacent providers who also are either adjacent or directly working with your ICP. Yeah. And then the vibe, roughly, you've been going for is to be very community oriented, very much like this is its own brand, its own community, and this is not the Chris DuBois show. You want the vibe to be, this is about lifting up all the presenters on the stage. Right. They all sort of share the branding and any outcomes is like, go to any of these folks. It sounds like you've been very much trying to be like, this is not self-promotional.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the entire beat. And
that's
I think
working.
it helps getting when everyone else is marketing, right? When we share the lead list with all the presenters, that's like a key piece to this because it means, hey, we are in this together. Like we all need help. And I brought in sponsors before. I haven't done any like cash sponsors. The agreement has been promote the event for us and we'll share the lead list with you as well. And so we've had, large sponsors. Exit 5 has been a sponsor for multiple years. Databox was a sponsor at one point. Like we get some big names on that. And then
you had to put that all together yourself. You've got to go hunt down the sponsors.
Yep.
You kind of come up with that arrangement.
Which is easy now. I think now that the event itself has some credibility, I can just say, hey, we're running the next All In Agency Summit. Do you want to take part? Would you be interested in sponsorship? Here's what's required. And
let's actually touch on that. So you're saying now that it's like you've had a couple of things under your belt, which gave you testimonials, content you could show, numbers of past events you could benchmark and talk about. What was it like when you didn't have that in round one? And then what did you do to overcome the fact that you didn't have those things yet?
So I did what we call a lightning strike for the past couple, where the goal was to get all presenters, and I've yet to get all presenters because it's apparently not simple enough yet, but to post the same day with their graphic on LinkedIn. The idea would be if you're an agency owner, you're going to be following probably at least 3 people of the 25 that we had on stage last time. And if you're scrolling your LinkedIn and you see one image and then another image and then another, it's like, hey, I should probably pay attention to this. Something's going on that I need to be a part of. And
so you get that lightning strike term from Play Bigger, that book. Yeah, exactly.
And so,
but that's a coordinated moment. Like you get the feeling of a lightning strike, like this sizzle, this like big flash by getting a bunch of people to all do the same thing, talk about the same thing, create this social proof moment. Wait, what's going on? What's everybody talking about?
Yep. And so that's helped.
Yeah. Okay, so you do this. You're promoting it. You're getting people there, whether it's one track or 2, one stage, whatever. How did you decide, Chris? How's the audience going to relate to all this stuff when they log in and show up? And I bet it's challenging to answer that question when you're bringing in a bunch of different people who might have their own style and expectations.
To people, you go network. We had booths. Like if for any sponsors who wanted to host one, you could just jump in there and talk to them. But it like felt like you were in a real conference or something, but it was completely virtual. And you would join the events, and it was streaming, and you would just jump in. I'd edify the guest. Get everyone kind of excited so they knew who this person was. They would run with their presentation. We'd field a little bit of Q&A at the end, then bring on the next guest. And we just kept rapid fire all day.
What document or what are you referencing, Chris, as you are running that show?
I wasn't. I mean, my timeline basically for who's the next guest. And I would think through beforehand, what is it about this person? I invited them on for a reason, right? To kind of, they have something that I believe the audience needs to hear. So let me just edify this person in a way that makes it so they have the credibility to promote whatever that idea is. And so, if I bring someone on for finance, I've talked about how your finance, the people you bring into your agency to talk finance have way more of an understanding of the rest of your business than you might.
Yeah.
Because they have to look at the details and everything traces back to where the money's going. And so when they say, hey, when you do a lot of this, when you spend this much on marketing, right, your revenue increases. So we need to get you spending on marketing. Whereas most people think, oh, they're just going to look at my books and make sure that we're profitable and all this. No, they get to see the full picture. And so I've run in like financial people, but I frame it as this person does all of this for you. So now everyone hopefully is hooked on, okay, I need to listen to this guy,
right,
or girl.
But I see for the audience here, like I see the ingredients that Chris has is, I mean, the reason why I got into this business is because not every company has a Chris or is led by someone like Chris who is networking and following these thought leaders, understanding their content, their messaging, their positioning intimately. I mean, this event is a core key part of how Chris does business development. So he's able to basically be his own writer, be his own MC, like be all those things in those early days because you just knew these people. you know, and I find as I work for larger and larger enterprises or dispersed teams, or even just like more junior or more siloed roles who sometimes get handed this, like, you're going to be organizing the event or whatever. They're like, I don't know who the speakers are. I'm a chief of staff. I'm a head of events. I'm a logistics type person, or I'm the head of campaigns. I'm just worried about the outcomes and the numbers of this thing. And I got 14 other campaigns I got to ship. I don't know who these people are. I didn't even recruit them. I don't know, you know? So just, that's a subtle difference between if it's your business, your network of thought leaders that you're passionate about, that you're going to do the research with, that's time and effort you got to put in there, Chris. But it sounds like it paid off for you. But I think others are just not in a similar position to just be able. First of all, they're not in a position to have the knowledge to wing it, and they're also probably not as comfortable winging it at times. But it worked well.
Yeah, and so running that was great. I think the issue with Hopin, they said if we went over our limit for people, it's fine. Like, just try not to make it a habit.
Attendees, that's a good problem to have. You exceeded the number of people attending.
We didn't with Hopin, but we did with Ring Central, who gave us the same. I told them when they shifted, we had a call, right, because we were a continued client. Yep. And I kind of,
because there was an acquisition. For those who weren't following, Hopin got acquired by Ring Central, then became Ring Central Events. And as you're describing, Chris, there was maybe a slight difference in terms and conditions.
Yeah. Well, they said the same thing. Because I asked, like, hey, if we go over for like a few, it's like, is that okay? Like, what's the issue that'll happen? And they said, it's fine. Don't make it a repeat thing. And we'll, if we feel like you're trying to take advantage of us, then we'll have a conversation and we'll have to elevate you to the next tier. I'm like, that makes complete sense. I'm not trying to abuse this.
Nice.
But I was worried, like, what if I get 201 people, right? Like, what does that mean? I now have to pay thousands of dollars for that one person because I just won't let them in. I'll lock us at whatever they can. This is a free event. I'm not making money on this.
Yeah.
And but so we ended up going decently over. Well, it was 10% over, and so so for one of our last year's events, and the
call it like 220 people, let's say, in this example.
Sure. And so the sales rep came and then basically said, like, hey, so we have to elevate you. It's going to be $5,000. And I'm like, hang on. Like, can you, and it was the same sales rep I talked to him, like, can you actually get the recording from our call? Because I'm pretty sure we had talked about this. And anyway, long story short, I had to go up to like multiple tiers of management to be able to not pay that. And it was just a very poor experience for me to go from, I think the sales, I don't want to blame Ring Central. I think the sales rep just wanted to make a commission.
Yes.
And so, for whatever that's worth, I'm trying.
Well, here, what's the takeaway for the audience is, once again, I just find when I talk with people about putting on things that create a vibe, like create these experiences, like, there's a lot more moving parts and a lot of things that if you're not able to handle them or control them, can bite you. And it's like 100%. Chris is just describing, you're describing for us, like, and don't forget about the tech platform, not just how it works, but how the pricing structure of it works. And now you're putting in cycles and hours working with that software company. I'm not saying I've got a solution around that, but it just goes to show you think there's 20 moving parts, there's probably 50. What's your debrief process look like, from these events? You just kind of say to yourself, well, Chris, how'd that go? Or like you look at surveys, how do you reflect on the outcome?
Sit down with my wife and we do an after action review, like Army style, awesome. Like the same way we do it after a mission. But I'll pull up a whiteboard and I'll start working through like different phases and everything. And it was cool last year for one of the events where I had the 2 stages going. I had one of my friends was the other like host. Took a day off work just to like jump in and help. And
that's great. So I'm glad you acknowledge that. This is really not something that, if it's to be done right, you want to put all the weight on your shoulders. Like, that's not the moral of your story. To spread it.
Yeah. But he and I did an after action review, but then we also did a podcast episode.
Was he in the military as well? Did he understand that sort of vibe?
He was in the Army.
So military folks could be like good markers, is what I'm hearing, because you're not the first person who's come out of the armed forces who actually like has helped with agency or creative operations and stuff like that. Something there.
Actually, I think we both know Chris DuBois.
Yes, exactly.
We're similar jobs and everything.
Totally.
But
he's the one I'm thinking of from Impact, Chris DuBois, over there, and he's now spun out his own coaching consulting with a couple of those guys. So all the more power to him. So you did bring in some help, and then you had an after action report. I love it. Your wife's your business partner as well as is mine. She's like my CFO type person. You reflect honestly, and then it's good to have different perspectives. People keep you honest. Sometimes when you put the whole thing on, you're like, no, it was great. It's all gonna pan out. Whatever just came out of that. And other people are like, well, tell me how, right? Like, let's see that.
Yeah, I'm actually super critical when I do it. It's like, this could have been better. This could have been better. And I'm like writing notes as I go. And I actually have to take a moment after the event to just like sit with it for a second and be like, okay, that was successful. Like we had hundreds of people showed up to this thing. They were like raving about it in the chat. Like this most recent one was the most active the chat has been all day. Like people were just, they were in it. It was awesome. And some people were actually at the event as long as I was. Like when I looked at their timing after, it's like we had people watching this the entire day.
Oh, it's so sweet, because we all know anybody who's helped put on a virtual event knows that's a challenge.
Yeah.
That's super hard.
And that was nice to see. So we have we're averaging about a 70 to 80% turnout for these, which for like for free live events is
actually really great.
Yeah,
I mean, I've always said and often benchmark, not because everyone is different, but 30 to 40% yield of registrants actually showing up is a good, general average.
But then we also have, it's the actual it's not just the turnout rate, but how long they were engaging. It's like, I think the average for last one was like 5 hours for an 8-hour event. So that means like between all of their meetings and everything else, they wanted to be in this. And so like, I know we're doing the right things, but it was actually I had to bring it up in therapy. Like, how do I feel good about these things? And so we worked on it. So like after this last one, I was actually able to go out to dinner with my family afterwards and just like celebrate that, hey, another summit went through, it was great, and like got to kind of sit with it for a bit, enjoy it.
That's a great point that marketers, honestly, business owners, leaders, any achievers in general should check themselves on before they go into a major endeavor like the vibe you're trying to create with that the All-In Agency Summit is, how will I allow myself to feel good about this? Because you can't trust your own natural instincts. That's because what's the default? Yeah. I'm just assuming that there'll be a sign. There'll be an aggregate of all these different things that will allow me to unquestionably feel good. And yet you've admitted, no matter how well it seemed to have gone in the eyes of others, you're still like, yeah, but I don't know, I could have been better. And you kind of steal your own satisfaction. Yep. So pre-establishing to yourself, these are, when I see this, I have permission to say, I'm good.
Every time you can celebrate something, like it's a form of gratitude, right? It's going to reshape your brain in it to be looking for those things, which is something that's like,
cultivating gratitude, very good for our mental health.
Right. I jokingly brought up therapy, but like for the past 2 years now, I have a planner, and it has your every day is in the first kind of fold out page, has like every day has its own little box. And then you go into like the months. So for every day, I put down what is my number 1 to 10 for how I rate this day. And then inside the month, I can only put the positive things that happen in that day. And I'll just document what are the good things, like what are the wins. And when you start doing this every day, you start looking for those opportunities. And what's cool with like last year was the first full year that I went through that. But I was able to look back and be like, man, I have very few numbers under 6, like on my thing. Like I live a pretty good life. Like this is, why do I feel not great all the time? Like, look at all these wins in this book.
Right. Yeah. And we all struggle with feeling great, and I think that and I've noticed that about you, like when you have that attitude of gratitude, when you can confirm in your own heart, like I feel good, people, it's magnetic. It's actually it's very relevant to putting on successful gatherings, having attractive gatherings, and having a charismatic sort of stage presence, and confidently being able to create a vibe for everybody. Like a lot of people come together for a gathering or gather around a thought leader or person because they just want a piece of how they feel, how they think. They want to bring that into their own mind, their own day. So I think you're showing you're like, I'm a font of that sort of like knowingness. That things are good and they're gonna stay good and get better.
So one of the things that I've realized, and I've known this with video marketing, but I didn't realize it was going to be the same with like being on stage. It's that I can be the most charismatic person I can, but when you're on stage, you have to like crank it up times 3. Like you need it's not like a 1-for-1 thing. It's like you need to be able to kind of bring everyone else up with you to like hit that charisma. How do you do it?
There's a few different things that I've learned and practiced over the years. Number one is just sustained experience to know that if you crank it up, it will be rewarded, and that people are coming for the crank. They are coming for a little bit more. So it's seeing instantly, whether I'm in a internal, like all hands, or externally, like when I talk and I talk with a little bit more polish, a little bit more excitement, facial expression, whatever it is, everybody starts smiling. There's this look of anticipation. Okay, what's going to happen next? So just practicing and taking those chances it's almost, I guess, maybe comedians test out their material ahead of time and then they realize, okay, this is funny. And they no longer have to work on making that joke funny or whatever. It just is because they know. So I just have had this knowingness from sustained years of public speaking experience. But then I've also learned and therefore applied and seen it to work, different speaking tactics I've learned from people I've studied and respected over the years. You know, the adage, start 5 minutes in. You know, basically just starting with what you think is the most compelling and not just slowly amping yourself up. Be like, I'm going to start 5 minutes in, amped. I've also done things where if you start with some sort of hook, people talk about that a lot. If you're going to do really any piece of content, but certainly your session on a virtual event, this would apply, is do something that's going to catch people's eyes, go, whoa, pattern breaking, you know, you're singing something, you're in a different position, facial position, that's automatically going to prime your body to be like, oh, we're doing something different and fun here. It's definitely going to prime the audience. So anytime I have like come in and done like a little beatboxing freestyle rap or just something different with intro music, I think is a great way to produce this, everything I've just said. A lot of times people have a song that's like they sing in the shower, it's in the car, it's their like spirit animal type thing. And oftentimes if I'm emceeing or putting together a production, it's not just who's going to speak first, what are we going to say, how are we going to introduce them, but what's going to be their walkout track. And if we can give them the song that to them is like, I'm a power woman when I hear this song or whatever it is, you know, I feel like Superman when I hear this, like then that man or woman is going to come out and already be 5 minutes in. Like, hey, everybody, like they're already at home. When music is such an intimate, personal thing to so many people. And sometimes the person goes, oh, gee, I don't know what song to play, Nick, or what that would be. And then I just try to feel like what would get them, what's their vibe, or like what would get them fired up as well. But those are some little things.
I define a hero as someone who has strength for two, but I think an MC is probably someone who has energy for two.
I love that, Chris. I'm gonna hold on to that. I completely. You know what? You bring up another point I neglected to mention is I view it as a service. You know, I'm doing it for them. It's something I can bring to the table. So I'm like focusing on it like a skill. The way that you're thinking about the operations and that type of thing. I'm like, I have to bring the energy for 2, for 20, for 2,000. That's a great line.
Well, and I think a lot of people don't understand the value of being in the right state. Like so one of the things I do at conferences is like, I'll open my notebook to like right at the top, I'll put the title of the presentation. And then next to it, I'll put, am I feeling charged, caged, confident? Like I have a series of words, like all C's for some reason. That,
easy to remember.
Like, because if you can identify what state am I currently in, it'll help you with understanding where you were when you're going through the notes. And like, and I have all these other like note-taking techniques for that. But if you can put yourself in the state where it's like you're excited and you're like ready to go, like if I'm feeling charged in this presentation, everything that I am learning is going to be way more impactful. Like I'm going to memorize things better, right? I'm going to be able to pull them out. I'm going to show up to my team and be excited when I tell them about these ideas. It's like all of that is positive. And I think a lot of people don't realize that if you can get primed to be in that state, now the entire presentation, like everything that's going on is going to be more impactful. And so like bringing someone like you on to be able to set that tone, to be able to do it, now actually creates an event where people are going to go back retaining everything and saying, I need to go to next year's event.
And that is what I would love to continue to pull on that thread with people like you and others who advise people like me, because you are absolutely right. Organizations, when they're putting on an event, can spend so much on a venue or whatever because they're kind of counting on that to do most of what we've just been talking about. And then it can often be let down by somebody who's sort of like not acknowledging where they're at, not playing to that venue, not playing to that vibe or whatever, and it kind of dissipates. I think we've uncovered like our major overlap here, Chris. We're definitely wired differently, but like both you and I believe in like emotional engineering and that like those pieces can be much better thought of for ourselves, for our audiences, for the teams that we're serving with and stuff like that. So cool, man, just to uncover these layers here. I've not talked about some of this stuff, I don't think, with any of my guests, so it's really cool. So take us, and as we roll out, and we are wrapping up here, how do you follow up from these events to build the momentum? What can we all take away from what you learned after you successfully did the things we've been talking about for several minutes now? Okay, put on the event, people liked it, I reviewed, I got these metrics and stuff like that. Like, what do you do with all the rest of the output vis-a-vis business development, but then also the next one, building momentum?
I think my events are going to be a little different from how someone else does because
Sure.
I share the lead list with everybody. And so we kind of
sidebar. I did a ton of that when I was at Drift and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That was the order of the day
But so
around every like
you
webinar
need-
I was helping produce.
I'm guessing even with that, right? You need some sort of like unofficial, like, hey, let's not all email them tomorrow with like,
Yeah.
right? When you get, especially I had 25 people at this, like presenting for this last one,
Right.
plus the sponsors. Like if 30 different people email you trying to sell you something the day after this event, it's going to sour the event.
Yes.
And so we kind of agreed, like, let's start doing this next week. Like, give them a chance to catch up. And so the follow up for the event itself, which like I'm not selling, just hey, here are the recordings. Thanks for showing up. If you got any feedback, if you want to leave a testimonial, we'd love all this. Join, follow this page on LinkedIn so that you can be notified when we're doing the next one. Like just that type of like standard stuff. And then the following week, it's like, all right, now I can go into my own marketing, which even for me, it was just kind of like get them into my newsletter and just start giving value. And I'll lose a lot of people because like some people are only here for listening for finance or listening to sales conversations. And that's okay. So like I'll have a lot of people unsubscribe within that first period. Now a handful like stay because they're like, oh wait, this is actually super useful. And so just getting him into my world and like starting to
and a sidebar, because I know as a fellow like marketer and a person who looks at such signals and stuff like that, it's easy to be like, oh man, too bad, But on me unsubscribing from your newsletter doesn't mean I don't care about your brand at all or whatever. Some people just like to keep their inboxes clear, or some people just want to get the first couple emails in their inbox to view it later. Like what people do and how they do it with some of the signals, we read too much into many of these signals. And I think you know this too. Many of those people who unsubscribe you or whatever still end up being in your orbit, or you end up hearing from people saying, oh, I read your thing. You're like, you're not even one of my subscribers. How's this happening? Like there's ripple effects beyond who subscribes and who doesn't.
Yep. And then, doing some posts like on social media and stuff, thanking people, getting all the,
what about highlight clips? I mean, is there anything special that the listeners can take away that you might have struggled with or experimented with a little differently in terms of like posting clips or content after the event? We know that's a standard best practice.
Yeah. So because everyone's doing these presentations for free and everything, I give all of the content back to the presenters and I do nothing with it. So I'm going to probably do like a highlight reel to promote the next event and just like find a way to spice that up and use it within the marketing. But like I'm not doing clips of the event because it's like is in some, especially now, some of these people are direct competitors to me that I'm bringing in because it's okay. But so I'm probably not going to spend all of my time marketing. Like I want to support them and help them, but I'm not going to run my LinkedIn.
Not doing it for them, a complimentary gratis. Like you already gave them the stage and the lead list. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that
seems fair. And you're saying, hey, let the best marketer win. This is a content creation opportunity for you. I gave you the raw DNA here, and if you're a good marketer, you'll know what to do with this.
Right.
And then you go on and like you already said, you do your debriefing with your core team for the next event. So anything you want to plug in closing here for the next All In Agency Summit, what people can expect or should be fired up about, what you're thinking about.
So I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know how we're going to do it. I know the general format and stuff, but we have to pick a date and just throw something on the calendar and start planning for it. But so that's coming up this fall. If you want to learn about when it's going to be live, I would recommend joining my newsletter. If you go to dynamicagencyos.com and just subscribe to the newsletter there, I get a bunch of like free stuff you can grab too if you're an agency. But that would be the easiest way to find out. We got the All In Agency Summit has a LinkedIn page and stuff, but I'm pretty sure if you're just subscribing to the page doesn't mean you're going to see all the content the page produces. Just like I don't have 7,000 people seeing my content on LinkedIn. So
we're getting there. You're working on it. I know you're building your empire. I see it, and this is my takeaway to all of you folks about what to do next with vis-a-vis Chris's. I have found for years in my career, my competitive advantage is to find early these movements, get in early on the ground floor of the next thing that's being planned by whomever, and you can get outsized leverage and opportunity because that's when the need for help and volunteers and ideas is highest. So Chris just told you all, and I already jumped on this guy, so I'm eating my own dog food here. Get to Chris now if you can. get to him early. First of all, as a client, as he's continuing to build out his practice and scale it and so on, before he starts upcharging you, like the Ring Central people. But not that you do that. I'm just joking. But so else, well, maybe, yeah, But there's not gonna be a lot of friends and family discounts, to be sure, to go around there. But then also, if you're an agency, if you work with agencies, you sell to agencies and stuff like that, contact Chris, because there's a chance you could get on stage like I'm working with him on as well, because I certainly help agencies with a lot of their own content, thought leadership, how to be more dynamic and more polished, on stage, and have a whole webinar and community program around that. So Chris, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? You already told us you can go where they can go to sign up for your newsletter, dynamicagencys.com. Any other best way to get in touch with you directly?
Yeah. Otherwise, find me on LinkedIn, Chris DuBois.
He's actually using LinkedIn, guys. He'll actually get back to you. How about that? And I know this for a fact, because that's actually how Chris and I met each other and how we got on this call itself. Took a chance, send a message, and here we go. Right?
It's weird. You can
do it,
use it to connect, right?
It's weird. You end up reaching out to people with common interests, and who knows what can happen there, right? So, Chris, thanks so much for just coming on and riffing with me here, man. We like to keep this stuff just organic and real. Hope the audience enjoyed it as well, and I'm looking forward to teaming up with you and helping raise the bar, level up a little bit with the next All In Agency Summit coming up. We'll give them a vibe, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
My pleasure.